How are you?
I don't know if that came across for you, but it was really in sync for me.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
It was. It's good. How was your day?
It's good. It's good. It's really hot here. We're under a heat advisory, heat index over 100. So, but unlike our friends across the pond, we actually have air conditioning in the South. I have lots of friends in the UK, and I feel for them, but they don't. A lot of them don't have AC.
That's funny. Remember the TikTok that I sent you where it's just like, I'm just so sick of this country that it's like red, white, and blue mofos because of the iced coffee?
Right.
I saw another one last night, but it was air conditioning.
Oh, seriously. But look, a lot of places, even in the States, don't have AC. Like, if you go to Seattle or even like parts of like California, like San Diego area, like a lot of those places don't have AC.
That's so mind blowing.
A lot of them really don't have AC.
I love
So
it. Like I would rather like if I could like the way that I set up my bedroom is I like to have my blankets and stuff, but I need it to be ice cold so I can use my blankets.
I agree. I agree.
That is my like preferred. It needs to be a refrigerator,
I like that.
maybe
I
an
like
ice
that.
box. Cruising Keys in here. Remember, if you're on Facebook, put your name in your comment because all it comes across is Facebook user.
All right. Well, Haley, it is top of the hour. Let's get started, guys. If you don't know, I'm Jason Poole. I'm a travel advisor with Cruise Planners, an American Express travel representative. Love talking about all things cruising. Sorry about that. They're working on the fire alarm today in my building. So I apologize. I'll hit mute if I can if it happens again. So my apologies. Anyways, love talking about cruising. I am just, love going to Europe, love talking about all inclusive resorts. Haley, we talk about airlines a lot. We have a lot to discuss with airlines. How are you? Introduce yourself.
Good morning. So much to discuss in this travel world these days. My name is Haley. I'm the owner of Hospitality with a Flair, which is a hotel sales support company. Been in hotels for 15 years, and I travel blog everywhere from Disney, Europe, cruising, and across the map. So let's hop into topic number one.
So
Why
this
air travel broken? This is an article from the Wall Street Journal that Jason and I were discussing this morning.
it's an issue, right? I mean, if you have been paying any attention to the news lately, you know that flights in the airline industry is just I mean, broken's the right word. I luckily haven't had problems, but there are many problems. I mean, you saw Delta just flew 1,000 bags on a plane with no passengers back to the states to get people their bags back to the states, like insane. So what happened? As you know, the airline industry was just completely nearly decimated, hit really hard during, because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Goes without saying, right? Well, now that travel is almost back to 2019 levels, we're not quite there, but we're very close. The airlines got, I hate to use the word greedy because they're desperate for money, right? So I don't
Oh yeah,
think it was
they're trying to recoup.
trying to
I mean,
recoup.
I think they're trying to recoup. I mean, greedy. I think is reserved for the oil business. Well,
Right. I mean, I
I
did see
wouldn't
that.
necessarily put the airlines on that. I think they're just
No, I would agree. And you saw
100%.
Delta posted a profit for the first time in a while, so that was great. So they just the long story short is the airline industry offered more flights than they could guarantee to service adequately. So they didn't have the staff to turn over the bags, to get connecting flights. There aren't enough like TSA agents sometimes to the TSA. I mean, I've seen some long TSA lines at JFK, like long lines. And this isn't just an American problem. I mean, I was just in Rome,
Oh,
FCO. The
the
security
the
line was
EU airports are having a meltdown.
meltdown, meltdown. So
Like there's
like,
people that are waiting. I saw some lines at the Dublin airport, 2 hours just to get in the building.
yeah. I mean,
Like,
FCO, the British Airways line was hours long.
wait,
Hours.
what's the name of FCO, Jason?
Oh, I don't know. We're not going there. We're not going there. So um, we so the airline industry is just in a lot of trouble. Ed Bastian, CEO of Delta, has come out and apologized and said, "Look, we all offered too many flights. We all got a little ambitious on what we could offer, given the pilot shortage, given the flight attendant shortage, given the baggage handler shortage. There's no way you can operate at 2019 level without 2019 staff."
It was kind of like what we joke about in hotel world. It's like revenue management and sales not speaking to the operations
Right.
team.
That's a good point. That's a great analogy.
Like, for example, like there's some hotels that we've seen on our end that are just like, selling out and whatnot, but then rooms getting turned over are not ready at the regular time. Some hotels are actually just taking rooms out of their inventory. Like a normal 100-room hotel is only selling 80 of their rooms because they don't have the staff
Right.
to
So I
service.
mean, a lot so there are some cruise lines that are doing that. They're literally just not selling certain rooms, but they just don't have enough staff to adequately service. So it's a problem. We'll talk more about airlines here, throughout the show.
Always.
I Ed Bastian says there's a fix in place. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but travel prices are starting to drop a little bit. And this was kind of to be expected, right? So when things kind of opened up, everybody jumped into booking and things are kind of leveling out a little bit. So flight prices are going down a little bit. You're seeing it in hotel world, right, Haley? Prices are
Yeah,
kind of
I
coming.
mean, on both sides of the coin, like, our hotels are like, okay, we're not seeing even some of the Nashville properties we service. We're not seeing that demand rolling into August that we were previously seeing. Like it's looking a lot softer, quieter. Prices are getting pulled back. And I mean, even kind of what we saw on the other side of my coin, trying to sell contracts to hotels to help them with their sales, is the last 2 months has been a little harder to close because these hotels and owners have been riding high on the hog. Like, why spend money if I don't need to,
Right.
without really thinking of the big picture. But now all of a sudden it's like, oh, do you have time for a meeting so we can talk about this? It's pulling back a lot of the ways. I mean, you and I were talking this morning. I've seen the Google flight alert that I had set up for my company trip to Rome in November just drop. I mean, kind of
Right.
like ping pong all over the place, but significantly drop compared to where it was last month. I mean, it was in the thousands, and now we're back in the
Right.
hundreds.
Right.
Let me
No, I mean
flip.
that's great. So all
This was
right. So
this was a very. I was not expecting it at this point in time, but a great read. If you guys also want to read this article, Jason, do you want to highlight it?
yeah, so the TSA PreCheck is now going to get a gender neutral option for your application. So the TSA has been allowing some gender neutral markers for a while, but now, so for PreCheck, they weren't allowing it for. I don't really understand why, but they just came out this week and they said they are now adding a gender neutral option for PreCheck, which is wonderful. Some of the airlines, including our beloved Delta, still does not do this. They say they're working on it. I think it's more of a system issue. Their legacy systems literally probably don't. They have to go change the code, but they should. Delta needs to do it. They need to do it.
100%. And Jason, I've given you a sneak peek a little bit behind the scenes, at least on the hotel side, like Hilton and Marriott, and how archaic these systems
They
are.
are.
So it's just, I mean, I know Hilton's toying with a new cloud-based PMS where you have more options like this. It's just, I don't know how you add that into some of these even old GDS systems too, like
Well,
you've
look,
seen for your World Span.
we keep it fair and balanced. American and United do it. Delta. All right, Delta. American United do it. Time for Delta.
Your turn.
It is. Look, I mean, we keep it fair and balanced, and Delta needs to do it. So, all right. So we kind of buried the lead a little bit. This was some big news. So the CDC, as you know, had great authority over the cruise industry, like unprecedented amount of control over the cruise industry. But there were lawsuits saying they overstepped their bounds, and we could discuss that, but that's not what we're here to do.
It feels like it was this chokehold, kind of like how Darth Vader uses the Force, and
Right.
it's just like, oh.
Well, on Monday, the CDC ended its COVID-19 program for cruise ships leaving out of the United States. So, what does that mean? I think in the short term, very little, if anything, will change. Okay. I think the cruise lines are comfortable with the vaccine requirements. I think they are comfortable with the COVID testing. The main change will be they won't be reporting COVID cases, but you used to be able to go to the CDC website and look up how many COVID cases were on each ship, and they color coded them. So that's gone. That's done. So what do you think? Do you think things are going to change? Do you think they're going to keep it the same? What do you want to see changed?
My prediction is your big mass market lines are going to drop a lot of the normal requirements.
Okay. Okay.
I think, filling ships, that recouping, I see that going away personally. And I feel like it's going to happen within the next 30 days that people, I mean, like Norwegian already kind of like broke that out, that they're toying with some sailings, not doing pre-testing, not doing, doing that. I think you and I have talked that cruising is a little different, as much as, we like to say,
It
versus
is.
hotel or land.
It is. It is.
I personally would like to see the vaccine requirements stay in place.
I kind of would too. I would.
I would love to see the pre-testing go away, though, because I just think it's a little bit of a hassle at this point if you're already vaccinated.
Yeah, like I mean, I had to do it.
You
I
could
had to do
test
it.
negative 48 hours before and have it.
But people, and it happened. Like I have clients every week on sailings who are testing positive during their cruise. Like it happens every single week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so I think you're right. I think short term, I think very little changes. I could see the COVID test going away, but I think the cruise lines are kind of okay with the vaccine requirement. And guys, what you don't remember, these rules that are in place, they're not just Carnival and Royal Caribbean and Norwegian just arbitrarily setting these rules. There are a lot of countries, like the ports of call, that have requirements to dock there, right? I mean, so as much as you may want cruise line X to get rid of like some COVID requirement like the vaccine, if they do that, all of a sudden that cruise line will be denied entry into Greece or Spain or, St. Thomas, right? Or wherever, right? So they have to work with all the local governments, and the local governments, a lot of them are still requiring the COVID vaccines for cruise ships. So it's not just a simple cruise lines doing whatever they want. They have to work with governments.
And I think you'll still see some of those strict. I mean, even what we incurred with Olivia last year going to Alaska, Olivia couldn't get off the ship unless it was a cruise line excursion. So the one that
Right.
with her in Skagway, we literally went on the train and had to come right back.
Right.
Like no going in gift shops, none of that. Like that's what the rule was.
Well, speaking of governments not wanting cruise ships, Norway is having a lot of protest at a lot of the cruise ports. So
Yeah.
Norway is a very popular cruise destination, especially in the summer months. It's lots of cruise lines have lots of ships up in the Baltics and the fjords, and Norway is on a lot of itineraries. Well, a lot of these ports, they are protesting, saying cruise not welcome, with some messages about like you come into my hometown and with your floating boat. Some not great language on some of these protests. I thought it was interesting. I thought the Norwegians were much more chill
Somber.
and relaxed, but they must clearly be upset about this. Have you ever gotten off a cruise ship and seen people protesting?
No, but I will say that the last time I've seen this heat, it was actually Barcelona.
Oh, okay.
There's like, if you go and Google Barcelona, a lot of them hate the cruise ship industry. And I can see part of it. One, I think some people are kind of blind to money that's maybe spent in port. And I think that calls into a bigger business question. It comes down to, like what they're paying their people on board. Is that fair wage? We've seen arguments coming from the EPM in the Bahamas wanting to tax cruise ships more because, they're saying the cruise ships are pushing their excursions, not enough money is getting spent locally. So I think that evaluation comes into play. And then I think there's also the notion of over tourism. A Norwegian fjord cruise is a very highly sought after kind of dream trip.
It is.
And I think when you're adding more and more and more, you're trickling on that over tourism, especially the Norway ports being a very eco style cruise. That could be an issue. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I think some of this is like, well, you need tourism dollars, like,
you do, right,
partially to survive, like that, that's part of your mix of business. Like, it can't all go away. But do I think it could be done more ethically and maybe a little bit more environmentally safer? 100%.
No, I agree. All right, you have I
have a little notion here. So for those of you with the Chase Sapphire, and I have not seen this, and I've had my Sapphire for over a year now, they have those offers just like Jason and I talk about on American Express. But right now they have a bunch of Marriott brands. I believe Edition was on there, Fairfield, Town Place. They're doing like 15% cash back. So make sure you add those offers to your card if you are a Chase card holder.
Nice. Okay, this is a great topic, and
people and I are so different on this.
People ask me this all the time. How early do you get to the airport? So personally, I like to get there about an hour before boarding begins. That's been what I've been doing for the last year or so. About get there.
Hour? Are we talking like arriving to the lounge an hour before your flight, or arriving at the airport? Those are two different things.
Well, so
and I'm going to call you out on this.
It's funny you say that. Curb to the lounge takes about 5 to 10 minutes for me.
I will attest to that. Nashville's super fast because they have Clear and
Sky Priority Line at Delta, Clear, PreCheck. The lounge is around the corner. Literally, curb to the Sky Club is, if it takes me 20 minutes, it is like a long morning. So I like to get there about an hour before. I used to get to the airport really early and just soak in the lounge. I don't do that as much anymore. Now, coming home from Europe, I got to FCO as quickly as I could. And Haley, I was panicking a little bit. I was in the security line with boarding starting in 50 minutes. And I was freaking out of how slow that security line was going.
Something that follows me on Instagram sent me a message asking about this. They were, I think, coming home from Paris, and they're like, "Oh, how early should I get to the airport?" I'm like, "At least 3 hours."
Yeah.
And they're like, "What?" And I was just like, "At least 3 hours."
So here's the thing: if you're flying Air France and you have Sky Team, Sky Priority, that does help you tremendously. When I flew home from the Bahamas,
Charles de Gaulle, even with it at Charles de Gaulle, it is just, it's one of the biggest airports in Europe.
Right. That Sky Priority line, in Rome, there was no one in Sky Priority. Coming home from the Bahamas, the regular line at Delta was very long. Sky Priority had no one in it. No one.
Yeah,
So
I just think with the meltdowns that are happening right now, I think if you're coming back internationally, try to aim for 3 hours.
no, I agree. And I have to recognize that I'm unique, right? Not everybody has Sky Priority, Clear, PreCheck, like does it all the time. Like I recognize the gate agents and the check-in agents, right? Like oh, welcome back, Mr. Poole,
I
right?
know that's where I'm at this point. I'm just like,
So I think if you don't have PreCheck and you don't have Clear and you don't have like Sky Priority, I think domestic flights, I think you need to be getting there at least 2 hours before boarding time.
and frankly, if you're in a bigger airport area and you
Right.
don't have those, I would say closer to 3.
I would
Like, I
too.
know nobody wants to sit around the airport, but it is like, I mean, here in Rochester, it's so small, and I have
I think
PreCheck Clear.
Nashville's small. But you know what though? But if you're
I
flying,
give Jeff anxiety like when I do a work trip because I don't check anything. It's a 2-night trip. I'm just grabbing my suitcase and rocking and rolling. I will get there like 40 minutes,
oh
30
no,
50 minutes for my flight.
you stress me out with how no, I don't like it. But but I also like, to me, the airport like lounge and stuff is part of the experience.
See, if I had a lounge, I might do that, but like there's no lounge here in Rochester. I'm just like,
Right.
I'll
So
roll up.
I go to the Sky Club all the time. They recognize me in there. Like, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, I think if you're at a large airport, JFK, DFW, and you don't have PreCheck and Clear, I mean, I've used Clear at JFK and cut through. Even the PreCheck line was
Yeah.
so long, and Clear got me right to the front. So yeah, I mean, at least 2 hours. We don't have PreCheck or Clear. I think Haley's right. I would aim closer to 3. Just during this like peak summer travel, things will level off. Things will
And
get better.
for like holiday travel, I feel like too. Like,
I agree.
give yourself more time. Nobody wants to sit around in the airport. But let me tell you, sitting around in the airport versus being in line stressing out that you're not going to make your flight is a lot easier. So I added a little extra to this, Jason. What is your travel day routine? Like, say you have a 10:30 a.m. flight. What is that for you?
So 10:30 flight, I typically will wake up for 10:30 flight. I wake up at like 7, finish packing toiletries. But I like to always pack my toiletries in the morning. Face wash, toothpaste, toothbrush, things like that. And then if I'm going to be gone for more than a weekend, I typically will order a lift to the airport. I get a really good rate to park on site. I'm sorry, at an offsite property, offsite, but it's across the street. And so if I'm just going to be gone for like 3-4 days, I'll usually park or drive myself and park a little cheaper that way. But I typically will call like a Lyft XL, take me to the airport, and yeah, go out to the Sky Club, and they have the best breakfast of any Delta Sky Club I've seen in Nashville. I love it.
Actually, I will share the breakfast at Nashville's new Sky Club is really good.
I've never had a better one ever. Also, I'm not flying out of like ATL in the early that often to like try ATL. I mean, I'd hope ATL would have a good offering.
Like JFK's Sky Club and Term 4 is pretty good breakfast. Like they have this like coconut style oatmeal that's really good. But
I don't go to that club.
My short little legs are not doing that on an hour layover going all the way to the Amex.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of so, and it depends if it's domestic or international. If it's international, I'll often pack a change of clothes. But I typically don't do that until I'm at the layover. So
did you do sheet mask on this international flight?
No, but I did wash my face and do moisturize. Like I went to the bathroom and like washed.
Well, did that feel better though?
It did.
It did. It's great. So for me, if I'm doing a 10:30 flight, I kind of have a bit of a process I go through. I pack the toiletries and stuff last. But the first thing I do is I will pound probably about 12 ounces of water first thing in the morning. Get up, do that. And then my breakfast, I keep it very lean. I'll do one of those 2 good Greek yogurts and 2 hard-boiled eggs, but then I will make myself a green juice with the Amazing Grass like greens powder. It looks like swamp water. I've done a vlog on that and I literally call it swamp water. But it just keeps me very clean because, I mean, good, bad, and different. We report it all. Like, you can get very bound up and bloated and dry when you're traveling. And I find that keeps me just perfect. Like, I feel great. I don't feel that lethargic,
Yeah, I agree.
bloated feeling. So that's part of my thing. And then I just kind of show up at the last minute. And then, of course, internationally, like you said, I like to pack that change of clothes, have a comfy, light, leisure outfit for my international. I like having my sheet mask, but those are mine. So travel tip of the day. We have touched on this, but I wanted to reiterate it because I have so many people all the time, and I can't believe in the year 2022 I'm still educating on this, and that just shows how subjective I am in my work. 95% of the time, you are not going to find a published cheaper rate elsewhere. Like, some people are like, oh, I saved so much on hotels.com with hotels. Most hotel brands, your Marriott, your Hiltons, your Hyatts, have best price guarantees in place. This means the hotel is not allowed to, remember, hotels are individually franchised, publish a cheaper rate on a non-brand.com site. So they cannot have $99 on Marriott.com and then be $79 on Expedia.
What do you do if you see that?
If you see that, this is where you go on your hotel's website, find their best price guarantee. Like, I'm going to use Hilton's, for example, right now. Hilton's best price guarantee is they will match the rate that you found and take an additional 20% off of that rate.
Oh, wow.
So that could even save you more money. Now, the exceptions to this rule are opaques. We've talked about them lately. But like when Jason puts together a flight hotel pre-cruise combo, that price on the hotel could be cheaper because it is a packaged member-only travel agent consortia rate. Right. God, which third party is that? Hotwire that has that Priceline, name your own price tool. Those are member only, behind the scenes, like hotels maybe will put out a couple of those. Those don't count in that best price match guarantee. But if you were to go on Expedia and see this, and I remind you guys also all to click through it, because I think Jason and you and I've talked about this on Google, it'll be like, oh, $97. But when you actually click through the dates through Google, it's not actually $97. But screenshots, check the price guarantee, save yourself some money.
Awesome. I love it. Well, Haley, that was great. We learned a lot. Guys, we'd love for you to join our Facebook group, todayintravel.live. We post lots of fun articles. People share some videos and pictures of their travel. So any travel tips, tricks, hacks, feel free to post it in there. Haley, until next week.